in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, I was very, very, very creeped out over the weekend when somebody I speak to at, let's just say they are very, very well-placed to know pretty much everything that's going on in this administration. I don't want to say anything more than that, but I have total and complete faith in what I'm about to tell you, that there are members of the president's cabinet who are putting their own ambition and lust for power ahead of the country's well-being. They are thinking almost exclusively about 2028, not figuring out how to get this situation in Iran to a conclusion that helps America. They want to know what they're going to say in the Iowa caucuses and all that crap and raising money and all the stuff and the podcasters and the rest. I'm deeply, deeply, deeply troubled. These people owe so much to President Trump. You work hard. You let the chips fall where they may. You got to get through the midterms. And if you really want to think about your own political career, then get the hell out of the sensitive job you now hold. There's so much, people. Here's another dirty little secret. A lot of the career politicians, even the people we like, and there are people we like who have been in politics for their careers, they can't stand Trump. They are jealous of him. They are resentful of him. They are tired of going to Mar-a-Lago and having to. These are people who are superstars in their own right, and they don't want to be in anybody else's shadow. And from what I'm hearing, their lust for power, for status, for prestige, and then that predates President Trump. These people have been in love with themselves for a very, very, very long time. And this is now becoming a bit of a burden to them, having to put up with President Trump. And they don't like the idea that President Trump might be a kingmaker in 2028. Now, there's an exception to this. I hear that JD Vance is totally, he's loyal. He's legit. He's kind of doing what a lot of people think he should do, which is working like crazy, helping the president achieve his agenda. And as for his own ambition, whatever the hell happens. He'll worry about that later. Life is long. The man is 41 years old right now. 41 years old. Let's see. When he's President Trump's age, it's going to be 38 years from now, for crying out loud. 38 years from now. That's a lot of time to be president of the United States if he wants to. He doesn't have to run in 2028 or 2032. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But there's some other real schemers and snakes down there. And then we have the podcast bros. The podcast bros. Boy, oh boy, do they love their podcasts. The podcasts. Podcasts. Somebody said something on a podcast. I can't believe it. Somebody said something on a podcast. Half of America right now, half of political journalism is about somebody said something on a podcast. Oh, my God. And then we go on and somebody says something else on a podcast and everybody gets angry. Matt Van Swall is a very interesting character. He's from North Carolina. He's a thinker. He first got my attention after those terrible floods ravaged North Carolina, especially Western North Carolina. And Biden was dicking around with the federal response because guess what? Those are red counties. He didn't want to help out the red counties. Let's slow walk FEMA. Let's play a political game with FEMA. It happens. All right. According to Matt Van Swall, and I think he's spot on here, he writes, we witnessed one of the greatest political comebacks of all time. We won the presidency. We won the Senate. We won the House. We won demographics nobody thought were possible. We won in places nobody thought were winnable at all. And then somehow the most influential voices on our side decided that the most important thing to do with that historic mandate was to tear each other apart. Right now, as you read this, the Democrats are doing exactly what they always do after they lose. They're not bitching and moaning at each other. They're not pointing fingers on podcasts, and they are definitely not busy demoralizing their base. They are organizing. You see the paid protesters, you think they aren't good at organizing? Think again. On the other hand, our podcast crowd is in a full-blown public meltdown that would make the Real Housewives producers look like total bitches. 0 people in the conservative base asked for this. Not one person, not a single person any of us have ever talked to in real life is sitting there thinking, what I really need right now is to watch my favorite podcasters go to war with each other. They are thinking about their mortgage, their kids, their country. They want to win. They want results. They want the people with the biggest platforms and the loudest voices to wake up every single morning with their guns drawn and all the guns to be pointed at the exact same target. But instead, we are getting this BS. Now, one little exception here. We are a little bit different from the Democrats in that we don't necessarily march in lockstep. We like freedom. We don't take our marching orders from a party. They do. And that makes it's an inherent competitive disadvantage. But it's one that stems from freedom. But still, this guy's got a point. Every single person on the right is exhausted by it, he says. This is obvious. If you spend 5 minutes outside of a podcast studio talking to actual conservatives, you know this to be true. What the base actually wants. We, the real people on the right, are tired. Not tired of fighting. We are tired of watching the fight go in the wrong direction. We want the border secured. We want their grocery bill to come down. We want our kids to get real educations. We want Democrats out of power at every level. School board, state legislature, Congress, all of it. That's the assignment. That has always been the assignment. That's what we all care about the most. Instead, what we got was grown adults with 8-figure audiences spending their airtime on personal beef that does absolutely nothing for a single voter anywhere. Every minute spent on intra-podcast drama is a minute not spent helping flip a House seat. Every episode built around attacking someone on the same team is an episode that could have explained to a persuadable voter why they should never vote Democrat again. Fair enough. Yeah, you also have to remember, these people are not politicians. I don't think Tucker Carlson's ever worked in politics. I don't think Megyn Kelly has ever worked in politics. I don't know about Candace Owens. I know what's his name. Joe Rogan has been, what has he been? A wrestler and a sports fanatic. And sometimes they make that mistake. The audience, people like this, critics, you should be working for Republicans. I'm not a Republican, for crying out loud. I'm not, by the way. Just, I don't pretend to be or whatever. If I were in Congress, I would vote with them basically 99.9% of the time. So I'd caucus with the Republicans. But I didn't register as a Republican. Look, for me, the defining issue of my lifetime when it was time to decide on a party was the Iraq War, which I was opposed to, which I knew was a mistake. And the Republicans were the party that really backed that. Now, Democrats, too. I really got disgusted with both. So much so that I wanted to run for Congress myself. The opportunity cost of this is just staggering, and nobody is willing to say it. We are sick of it. And it's insanely dangerous. You know who doesn't do this crap? The Democrat Party. They are absolutely ruthless about one thing. When it's time to win, they fall in line. They swallow their pride. They campaign for people they cannot stand, and they freaking win. They are not confused about who the enemy is. What actually wins elections? Elections are won in the margins. They are won by turning out people who almost didn't show up. And right now, the margins are sitting right there for the taking, wide open. The young men drifting right are the most exciting political development in a decade. An entire generation of guys who grew up in being told they were the problem, who looked at what the left was offering and said, no thanks. They are reachable. They are hungry for something real. But they have extremely sensitive radar for authenticity, and they will check out the second something feels performative or stupid. I see it in my own kids. So hear me when I say that a conservative media landscape consumed by ego-driven soap opera BS is exactly the kind of crap that makes them tune out and go back to not giving a crap. Remember that Trump won union households. These are people who, with deep cultural roots in the Democrat Party, their parents voted Democrat, their union voted Democrat, and Trump won them because he spoke to them in a way they knew, because he actually cares and understands you have to meet people where they are at. Every single one of these voters can be held. Every single one of them can bring 5 friends for the midterms. Every single one of them represents a building block of a durable majority. And the version of conservative media they encounter when they start paying attention, that first impression, that initial look at when this movement actually is, matters enormously. If what they see is a circular firing squad of millionaire podcasters airing personal grievances at each other, they don't think, wow, what a fascinating internal debate. They think these people are an absolute mess and crazy, and they leave. The left understood something a long time ago that I think the right is still learning. Optics are not separate from strategy. Optics are strategy. You know, he's losing me with this optics thing. Talking to somebody else over the weekend, and they're like, our messaging sucks, our messaging sucks. Here's the thing. Here's a little secret about messaging. Messaging is an art, right? And there's no right way or wrong way. There are, good, bad, others, but it's not an absolute science. And everybody thinks they're good at messaging. And everybody has always complained about messaging. The Bush White House, I was there. They were all yelling and screaming, if only we could improve our messaging on Iraq. I remember one time they said, our messaging was their messaging was really bad this week. They had a good week. They appointed a new deputy chief of staff who's really good. He went to Harvard and Harvard Law School, and he was a Marine. I'm like, nobody in the world cares about what diplomas are hanging up in some guy's office they never heard of. And they really genuinely thought that. People like Nicole Wallace, who was working there at the time. The right won because the right looked competent, focused, and united, so he won the margins. This signals to movable voters that you are serious people doing serious things. It signals that you are capable of governing. You know what I smell here a little bit? AI. He had a little bit of an assist from AI. It signals that joining this team is not embarrassing and you will come out ahead in the end, even when everyone demonizes you for it today. And right now, conservative media is not sending that signal. It's sending the opposite. And every day it continues, somewhere a persuadable voter looks over, shakes their head, and decides to sit the whole thing out. Winning elections is the only thing that matters. And we are not acting like it. A simple guide to who is actually worth your time. Oh, okay. There is a very simple filter for figuring out whether conservative media personality is serious about winning or just serious about themselves. It has nothing to do with how smart they sound or how fired up they make you feel. It comes down to a few questions you should be asking every single time to give someone your attention. Do they talk about elections specifically? Not abstractly, not philosophically, actually talking about specific races, specific candidates, specific districts that matter right now. If someone has a massive platform and cannot tell you which Senate races are competitive in 2026, which House seats are flippable, what's happening at the state legislature level in swing states, they are not a serious political voice. They are an entertainer. Enjoy the show, but don't mistake it for strategy. And are they telling you your vote matters? Well, this sounds obvious. It shouldn't need to be said. And yet there is a cottage industry on the right that has built an entire brand around telling conservatives the system is rigged, voting is pointless, both parties are the same, and not to vote. Just to give up, and that voting doesn't matter. I've scratched my head about that one at times, but I've always said vote. I've also said raise money. I've also said give. I've also said be active on social media. And we always call attention to the flippable races. For instance, I hope people are going to be voting in New Jersey for our man, Joe Hathaway. He is a good man. Nikki Sherrill, she abandoned the district to become governor and serve her own ego. Joe Hathaway's running as a Republican against a total maniac. And I do believe he can win. And that would be awesome. We've had him on twice so far. Not voting is not a protest. It is a concession. Anyone telling you otherwise is not your friend, regardless of how many times they've said the word freedom into their podcast mic or have American flags in their bio. Are they punching right more than they punch left? Keep a mental tally. How much of this person's content is directed at Democrats, failed liberal policies, and the actual opposition versus how much is directed at other conservatives, other hosts, and people on the same side. If you're watching someone who spends more time and energy attacking Ben Shapiro than attacking the Democrat Party, more time dunking on Dan Bongino than exposing the Democrats are doing to your city, you need to turn them off. They've lost the plot. The enemy is not to your right. Are they asking anything of you beyond your attention? Yeah, this thing I've hit a lot. The best political voices don't make you just feel informed. They make you feel responsible. Tell you to register to vote. Tell you to volunteer. They tell you to donate to specific competitive races. They tell you to show up. If the only thing a host ever asks of you is to subscribe, share, leave a comment, and they never encourage you to go out and do something meaningful to push the conservative movement forward, they are not building a business. They are building a business, not a movement. Those are different things. Do not confuse them. Very, very, very true. The whole thing about, watch me, click me, do this, do that. They need you. They need your clicks, your downloads, your subscriptions, your attention. Without you, they're nobody. But without them, you're still a voter. And you have a say in what happens in this country. And how about this one? For the love of God, stop giving your precious hours to people who treat the movement like a backdrop for their personal drama. Stop letting entertainers convince you they're generals for the conservative army. The filter is simple. If someone is telling you to vote Democrat, this is not your person. If someone is telling you to stay home, sit it out, that your vote is pointless, that is not your person. And if someone is spending more energy attacking people on the right than they are attacking the left, this is not your person. Find the voices, big or small, famous or not, who wake up every day thinking about one thing, winning. All right. Now, there's more to this, Matt, than podcasters, right? A lot of our listeners know this inherently. I am not so bold or full of myself to think that I can, well, you know what? Then again, the January 6th thing. I was a very, very influential and important voice in all of that, in making sure those people got justice and were restored. So you never know what we can accomplish. But bottom line, this is a very important essay. I appreciate it. I like Matt Van Swall. If you want to read it, please check it out on social. Matt Van Swall, SWOL. He's been a guest on this show and that show across the way. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
When is a child old enough to mind themselves in a car? What year? What age would you say? Off the top of your head, Carlos. Off the top of your head.
17.
17? To mind wait a second. I'm talking about I'm going into a store. I tell my daughter to wait in the car.
Like 11?
Really? 11. All right. Some lady in South Carolina did it with a 7-year-old. Told a 7-year-old to keep an eye on the 2-year-old. And the 2-year-old walked out of the car. The 7-year-old was watching YouTube videos on an iPad and got totally absorbed. And the 2-year-old girl walked into a busy intersection. Fortunately, she was scooped up by a good Samaritan.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated. The Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone. Many, many ships have been sunk. They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well.
Oh boy. All right. Now, there are some complications, but I feel like there's a big breakthrough happening or just happened that no one's talking about. Let me bring in the best mind I know on this and so many other subjects. Blaine Holt, retired U.S. Air Force general, great pilot, aviator, businessman, and he has been right about everything when it comes to this war, including the moment it would start. Welcome back, General Holt. How are you?
Oh, my gosh. It's great to be with you, my friend.
And am I right? I feel like that the Iranians saying that Israel and America can't pass, but everybody else can, is actually a major victory for Israel and America. Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're exactly right. The last thing Iran wants to see now is President Trump's call for no fewer than 100 more naval vessels from all over the world to come in and safen up the straits. But that's exactly what he's working on. And what I really see, Greg, is the regime is on life support, about to start flatlining. They're now openly in Iran saying that there's, air quotes, terrorist attacks across the country on police stations. What does that mean? That means patriots, free Iranians, are taking matters into their own hands. And we're going to see more of that. It's going to start to climb. As long as we keep a good lock on Karg Island, make sure that we don't destroy the future of Iran's economy, and we can get those straits freed up and get sulfur before oil out of the straits so that we can make fertilizer and not have a famine in the third world. We're going to be on the right track here to victory.
All right, but so the president is lining up other countries, but that apparently is not going too well. I feel like, let's listen to what he said just this morning, okay? Go ahead.
Done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left. But they said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that was said, because I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries, because I know that we'll protect them. And if we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon.
He goes on and on and on about that, and I think it makes a lot of sense to me. But can I go back to, is he really trying to get a big coalition of the willing going here? Because I thought Iran, with that concession, we may not need a big coalition, or do we have to not trust them when they say we are going to let everybody pass except Israel and America?
Well, don't trust the bloodthirsty mullahs. I don't think they've ever been trustworthy. But I think that's on the right track. I just think that the president's masterstroke here, the brilliance, was to go ahead and loyalty check all the allies right now. And let's see where they're at on this thing. And I think the German defense minister this morning said the quiet part out loud and did it the best. He essentially said in his remarks that, Europe doesn't really have anything of value or substance to this effort. So the German Navy, in fact, is impotent. The other thing he has said is that, if Europe got involved in this thing, then all those Islamists that they allowed in would just go on a killing spree across Europe. So it's like, oh, okay, guilty as charged. So you have bailed on this alliance, you've bailed on our values, and you've bailed on prosperity and security in your own countries. Amazing. Thank you for admitting it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is something. All right. So overall, where do we stand right now? How do you see this playing out over the next, say, 2 weeks?
Yep. So now we're going to start aiding and abetting the Iranian revolution, which is going to come into its own. Whatever's left of that regime is now going to die out. You'll see many defections and people flipping and people trying to make their way to an airport. My understanding is the baby Ayatollah might be in Moscow getting work on his leg or his missing leg. But this is the trajectory and the arc it's on. And so the straits look like, by and large, they're getting opened right now. I think we're on track for what the president's timelines were. And then there's going to be a whole lot of folks who've got some explaining to do about why you wanted to support this scourge on this earth existing beyond President Trump's reach. And it's amazing to me. It was great. It was optimistic today.
Okay. Well, if you're optimistic, I'm optimistic. And we did have a kind of, I guess these are sleeper cells. How do you characterize what happened at Old Dominion University? What happened at the Michigan synagogue, or those two guys in New York with their fire bombs that didn't detonate, thankfully? this is tied to Iran, at the direction of Iran, or is this like self-motivated? What do you think of the uptick in terrorism?
Yeah, I think it's an all of the above situation. And so if you're an Iranian cell, you're probably not going to get out there with your shirts on that say, "Hi, I'm an Iranian cell member." But you might go pay off some of these inspired folks that are on these chat groups in these game rooms to go do some of these things. The one that really caught my attention was the firebombs because of the accelerant and the explosives used. I think it was TACP, which is a more advanced type of explosive in some of these devices, which would indicate professional training, terror training. And again, they're all linked. The FBI is going to do what they can do to route them out with our first responders. We just got to help them by passing any tips or any information we have, because we will be vulnerable for a little while. But the command and control nodes are in Iran are knocked out. And so it's going to be very hard for them to pass direct guidance to them. The other thing is their money's drying up. Who's paying them? I don't think they're deriving any money from Tehran anymore.
Well, I like it. I like it very much. And we are going to be okay. We're winning this thing. Hey, do me a favor. You have flown KC-135s. The KC-135 crashed over Iraq last week. 6 people on board dead. What are you hearing? What do you think happened there?
So I think we're going to get the report soon. I think what happened is we've got 2 jets, 2 KC-135 tankers in formation, ready to pass gas to fighters on their way to the theater. And what we're going to probably see is obscured skies, fatigued crews, certainly difficult, demanding mission, visual procedures, and probably a little bit of misjudgment. But beautiful, beautiful young men and women, and they leave behind gorgeous families. Our mobility family is just praying right now for them, because we're all hurting that they're not coming home. Wow.
All right. So possibly a collision between the 2 tankers. KC-135s are like great big airliners, but they're tankers.
Yeah, that's right. And yes, we do have a collision. The other tanker made it back in, but its vertical stabilizer indicates that, half of it was missing. So that indicates contact with the other aircraft. And so, again, it's a very unforgiving profession, as you well know. Yeah. Just a moment away of inattention, and it can cost you everything.
Well, it's amazing that you did that for as long and successfully as you did. General Blaine Holt, we so appreciate your wisdom and insight. Okay, pal?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, my friend.
All right, to be continued. Thank you, General Holt. Man, that guy really knows his stuff. Very, very good. Does that put you at ease? I think, he's been right on everything, and he's very confident. If only we had more people like him running countries in the world, and not like Keir Starmer, Steamer Starmer. Cut 9, if you don't mind, cut 9.
The conflict in Iran and across the Middle East is now entering its 3rd week. Mm-hmm. So I want to take a moment to set out how we're responding to this crisis and standing up for the British people. Our priority is always the national interest, and so we have been clear and consistent in our objectives throughout this conflict. First, we will protect our people in the region. Second, while taking the necessary action to defend ourselves and our allies, we will not be drawn into the wider war.
Well, thanks a lot. We had Churchill, we had Thatcher, and now we got a punk like you. Germany doesn't surprise me so much. Hey, one other thing. We're going to win one swing race, you could call it, arguably, is Texas. The United States Senate, Paxton and Cornyn vying for the Republican nomination to go up against Tallarico, the boy prince, who is a total faker. I think the damn guy's a Satanist, some of the stuff that he's said online about children and the rest. Cut 13, please. Cut 13. He knows he has a problem with these crazy tweets. Here he is trying to, what do they say? Walk them back.
So we've got white skin gives me and every white American immunity from the virus, but we spread it wherever we go, through our words, our actions, and our systems. We don't have to be showing symptoms like a white hood or a Confederate flag to be contagious. From 2020.
Yeah. And I think an important thing to recognize with all the attacks that are coming from MAGA toward our movement right now, all of them depend on taking these things out of context. All of them depend on cutting some of the quotes before they end or cutting them at the beginning to kind of paint them in the worst possible light. And so in that case, it was a tweet that was part of a larger thread about how we all have a responsibility to combat racism. And so would I word it differently? Would I use a different metaphor? Maybe. But I still believe that racism is wrong. And I still believe that we all have a responsibility to combat it. And I think it's telling when some people are triggered by that. And so I, of course, looking back at some of these old statements from years ago, would maybe word them differently or communicate them differently. But the values that I hold are still the same.
That white people are inherently racist. That's the problem. And these are not being taken out. You took my tweet out of context. It was part of a larger, no, the tweet is a standalone. It's right there, baby. It's right there in black and white. And this guy is done politically forever. It's going to, now we got to run like you're 10 points behind. Going back to Mr. Van Swall, right? You got to run hard, relentlessly. But that one's going to be beautiful. That one's going to be sweet. Texas is not falling for that crap. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Back right after the break.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we are back. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. You know, I'm working on my new Substack. Yes, I shall be pontificating in written form. And it'll be free. It will be free. And I want to go into greater depth. There are some subjects that are actually you have to write about. You can't just talk about them. Now, one thing that will be a couple of things I'm going to do. Well, I'm not going to tell you actually right now. Let me just put up and then shut up. All right. That stuff is going to have to be living on its own. I'll give you the Substack address tomorrow. This I am enjoying reading Gavin Newsom's autobiography because he doesn't know it yet, but this renders him completely and fundamentally ineligible to be president of the United States. I mean, I knew that a long time ago, but now everybody knows it. All right, Pete, hello, hi, how are you?
Dear Greg, St. Patrick is credited with having raised 33 people from the dead altogether in the name of Jesus. He taught that the world itself, all of its governments, is Egypt, Pharaoh, and slavery to Egypt, and he is the kingdom of God, and we go through the Red Sea, Exodus, through the blood of Jesus, to the River Jordan, baptism, into the everlasting kingdom of God, and he is the kingdom of God, Jesus himself.
Okay. What'd you say about St. Patrick? I thought he had something to do with the snakes.
Raised 33 people from the dead altogether in his life.
It's a claim, to be honest. All right, it's a claim. It's a claim. I mean, that's not in the Bible. There's no reference to St. Patrick raising people from the dead. Correct?
There were many saints who raised people from the dead.
But this is not that's not biblical, is it? I mean, is it in the Bible about St. Patrick doing that stuff?
Jesus said to the apostles, you will do greater things than these.
Yeah, I know. I just can't verify this. You got you're very intense about all this, which I admire to a point. I feel like I don't know. What's the bottom line is what?
I like the enduring value is that this world and its governments is symbolized by Egypt, Pharaoh, and slavery. And
this is the part where I'm a little bit suspicious. This world and its governments, what?
The earth, the world, the kingdom of the world and man is symbolized by Egypt, Pharaoh, and slavery to Egypt.
Well,
and Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, the world is fallen, right? The world is fallen and corrupt, right?
and it's symbolized by slavery in Egypt. And to get out of the Exodus, the parting of the Red Sea, Exodus, that's the blood of Jesus.
Well, wait a second. Hold on a second. The Exodus happened way before Jesus showed up, right?
It happened under Moses and Joshua.
Right.
And Joshua parted.
Hey, by the way, I'm very impressed. How do you know all this stuff? I mean, you seem very, very devout, which is, I admire it, but tell us your story.
Well, you ask God the Holy Spirit.
Hey, I'm asking you, Pete, what's your deal? Are you the one who called up last week, by the way?
I don't know.
Were you trying to convince me that, okay, was that you? Or Pete, what's your story?
You read.
All right, thanks, Pete. I'll see you later. I just, you know what I mean? I feel like he's not being straight with me a little bit. All right. I'm sorry. I'm very open. I love Jesus. I love God, and I want to get closer to him through the word. All right. But you're speaking a little bit roundabout for me. John, hello. How are you?
Hey, Greg, it's Don from Franklin Square. I love you too. Blaine Holt was talking about a few months ago about airdrops, and I know about the Operation Carpetbagger during World War II, where we sent arms and ammunition to the French resistance in occupied France. I'm thinking that this is a good time for now.
You mean we do drop the leaflets?
We were dropping, if you go online, they have videos on it. They were dropping British Enfields and American grease guns and British Sten guns into occupied France with ammunition for the French resistance to slow down the Germans.
Well, look, let's face it. That was like a total war situation. I don't know if we can do that here. I don't know. There are a bunch of students and civil servants over there. If we start giving them weapons, I don't know. I mean, there are people who know a hell of a lot more about this than I do, but I don't think they're in the position right now to pick up and fight. I don't. I know I'm seeing skirmishes and that kind of thing, but we haven't seen what we are hoping for because they don't have the weapons. You say maybe like World War II, we give them the weapons. That's a gamble. But then again, we got a risk-taking president, don't we? All right. We got to go in a minute. I appreciate it, John. Anna is standing by. Hello, Anna.
Yeah. Hi. How are you? Thanks for taking my call. I'm a young listener and I really enjoy listening to your program. My question is in regards to the news release about Tucker Carlson being exposed for maybe helping Iran. I wanted to know if there's any updates. I heard that maybe Trump invited him to the White House, gave him false information, and then he went and they followed his text messages and saw.
I don't know. I like Tucker. I know people are saying all kinds of things about him. Regarding this story, what I saw, the only component of this story that I saw was Tucker's denial of it. Or Tucker accusing the CIA of doing something bad to him. I don't know anything beyond that. Basically, Tucker telling the story or telling a portion of the story. It gets very, very weird, and I'm afraid I can't keep up with all these theories. You know, and I gotta live my life a little bit. I can't go down. I love going down rabbit holes, but there are only so many rabbit holes I'm going to go down, and when it involves some of my friends, I'm going to avoid it. Do you understand, Anna?
Okay, so I guess you're waiting for the facts to come out. Is that what you're waiting for?
Well, I mean, I always like facts, right? You know, we want facts. But I also there's people are saying wild things all the time about everybody. So, yeah, I am more drawn to facts rather than, what somebody is saying on the internet. And, oh, by the way, that gives me a lot of free time. Know what I'm saying? All right. We'll see. I appreciate it, Anna. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.